He raised his chin, gestured toward the meat trees across the creek. Maybe tonight Blonde Milton'll bring us by one to eat. That could be. Don't kin ought to? That's what is always said. Could be we should ask. She looked at Harold, with his easy smile, black hair rifling in the wind, then snatched his nearest ear and twisted until his jaw fell loose, and he raised his hand to swat at hers. She twisted until he bore up under the pain and stopped swatting. Never ask for what ought to be offered. I'm cold, he said. He rubbed his smarting ear. Is grits all we got? Butter and more. There's still a tad of butter. He held the door and they both stepped inside. No, there ain't. Mom sat in her chair beside the potbelly and the boys sat at the table eating what Ree fed them. Mom's morning pills turned her into a cat, a breathing thing that sat near heat and occasionally made a sound. Mom's chair was an old padded rocker that seldom rocked, and at odd instants she'd hum ill-matched snips of music, notes unrelated by melody or pitch. But for most of any day she was quiet and still, wearing a small lingering smile prompted by something vaguely nice going on inside her head. She was a Bromont, born to this house, and she'd once been pretty. Even as she was now, medicated and lost to the present, with hair she forgot to wash or brush, and deep wrinkles growing on her face, you could see she'd once been as comely as any girl that ever danced barefoot across this tangled country of Ozark hills and hollers. Long, dark, and lovely she had been, in those days before her mind broke and the parts scattered and she let them go. Ree said, Finish up eatin'. Boss'll be along soon. The house had been built in 1914. The ceilings were high, and the single light overhead threw dour shadows behind everything. Warped shadow shapes lay all across the floor and walls and bulged in the corners. The house was cool in the brighter spots and chill in the shadows. Windows set high into the walls, and outside the panes torn plastic sheeting from the winter before whipped and fluttered. The furniture came into the house when Mama and Granddad Bromont were alive, had been in use since Mom was a child, and the lumpy stuffing and worn fabric yet held the scent of Granddad's pipe tobacco and 10,000 dusty days. Ree stood at the sink rinsing dishes, looking out the window onto the sharp slope of bare trees, looming rock ledges and a thin mud trail. Storm wind shoved limbs around and whistled past the window frame, hooted down the stovepipe. The sky came into the valley low, glum and blustery, about to bust open in snow. Sonny said, These socks smell. Would you just put 'em on? You'll miss the bus. Harold said, My socks smell too. Would you just please put those fucking socks on? Would you do that, huh? Sonny and Harold were 18 months apart in age. They nearly always went about shoulder to shoulder, running side by side and turning this way or veering that way at the same sudden instant, without a word, moving about in a spooky, instinctive tandem, like scampering quotation marks. Sonny, the older boy, was 10, seed from a brute, strong, hostile, and direct. His hair was the color of a fallen oak leaf. His fists made hard, young knots, and he'd become a scrapper at school. Harold trailed Sonny and tried to do as he did. But he lacked the same sort of punishing spirit and muscle, and often came home in need of fixing, bruised or sprained or humiliated. Harold said, They don't really stink that bad, Ree. Sonny said, Yeah, they do, but it don't matter. They'll be in our boots. Ree's grand hope was that these boys would not be dead to wonder by age 12, dulled to life, empty of kindness, boiling with mean. So many Dolly kids were that way, ruined before they had chin hair, groomed to live outside square law and abide by the remorseless, blood-soaked commandments that govern lives led outside square law. There were 200 Dollys, plus Lockrams, Boschels, Tankerslies, and Langans, who were basically Dollys by marriage, living within 30 miles of this valley. Some lived square lives, many did not, but even the